10:35. This is Morning Magazine. I'm Tony Hermann. Luke Hagedorn is in studio, and you've seen all of a sudden the crazy things that are happening out there in the world of artificial intelligence. And we've got we're going to have a discussion with that as Colin Chance is. We've got him. Colin, you there?
I am here, Tony. Hi, how are you doing?
Well, we have worked hard to get this together. I appreciate you being patient. And you're actually in Spain.
I am, and I appreciate you busting your systems to use this system rather than the phone.
Absolutely. You know, AI, we all heard AI. When I was a kid growing up, you know, they made movies based on that. They made movies on computers taking over the world. But now, all of a sudden, AI seems to be everywhere.
Now we're seeing the early stages of it happening. Isn't it amazing? Science fiction is coming true.
Isn't it? I mean, it is. It's incredible. You see, it's a little scary. Artificial intelligence is a little scary. I mean, even here at the studio, we got a program that we don't have the program, but the program is available that can write stories and scripts and poems in just seconds.
Yeah, I use it a lot. It is truly, truly remarkable. It isn't human. We haven't got the Terminator just around the corner, but these systems are very impressive.
What's some of the good things? You talk about the good things that are out there. You're the expert. Tell us what we can expect on the good end.
Well, we've already been seeing really good services from AI for quite a long time. Our smartphones are stuffed full of AI. So the fact that if you want to travel from one part of Missouri to the other, you can just put your destination into your phone, and it will tell you exactly which way to go. It'll tell you exactly how long it's going to take. It will tell you if there's a crash ahead and you need to do a detour. That's AI. AI enables that. Face recognition on your phone, which is very handy in all sorts of ways. That's AI as well. You've had services like Siri, which were able to answer a question, but they couldn't get into a conversation. That's AI. But now with this new type of AI, which is enabled by a development by Google in 2017, which is transformer technology, these new GPT AIs, they can do extraordinary things. They can write, as you say, they can write a poem, they can write a short story, they can write a chapter of a book, which is, if you're in the business of needing to write reports or needing to write summaries of meetings, this saves you a huge amount of time. You know, increased productivity like that is very valuable.
I mean, if I would have had this in college, I would have graduated on time.
You'd have aced everything.
Exactly. And so you see that as well. But then it looks like it's going into the medical area as well as, we're experiencing a doctor shortage here in the U.S., like most countries in the world. It looks like this could actually fill the gap.
Absolutely. So for some time now, AI systems have been able to read charts and scans better than human doctors can. Now, they can't do the whole thing from start to finish. They need to be slotted into a process. But because these systems, a medical scanning system, has seen every single scan that was ever made, or closest makes no difference, and they never forget anything, they're inevitably going to be better at recognizing whether something is a fracture or a splinter or a break than a human doctor. And it's also very, very important to remember that we are just at the beginning of the AI revolution. The things that are coming in the future are going to be way more impressive than the even quite impressive things we have now.
How does it work?
Well, that's a long story. Without getting right into the details, the current systems, the ones which are taking the world by storm at the moment, these transformer systems, the way they work is by predicting the next token in a series. So GPT-4, for instance, and ChatGPT, both of these from OpenAI, they have been trained on essentially everything in the internet. They have read everything on the internet. And by analyzing everything on the internet, they are very good at figuring out, if they've got a part of a sentence, they're very good at figuring out what logically comes next. What's a plausible next word or a plausible next image if they're creating a series of images. And in a way, that's some of what we do. It isn't the whole of what we do. But this prediction of the next token, prediction of the next word, that's the essence of what the current systems do.
And so,
Colin, Luke here. A new news story just came out about a new antibiotic that artificial intelligence was able to discover. And how does that work? And to go after a drug-resistant superbug, and basically the computers are fighting the superbugs. I feel like we're in a sci-fi movie here.
Yeah, it does feel like that. So there's one company which I know particularly well, which is called In Silico Medicine, and what they do, they have a three-phase system. In the first phase, they are looking for a protein, which is a set of cells which is causing a problem, and they read all the medical literature which might indicate the existence of this protein. So they scan, again, enormous amounts of data. And then the second stage is they design a molecule which is specifically tailored to attach itself to that protein and stop it doing the bad things it's doing. So scanning huge amounts of data and then designing something which is specifically tailored for that protein.
Now, you talked about the future of AI, and 10 years ago, the general public probably couldn't even conceive of what AI could do right now. So if you put your predictor glasses on and look down the line in the future, maybe 10, 20 years down the line, what innovations can you foresee that maybe the general public wouldn't even expect?
I see really dramatic things happening in that sort of time frame. And like everybody else who's following AI closely, my time frames have collapsed. They've shrunk because of these new transformer systems. I used to think that it would probably be 25 years until machines were good enough to take almost all the work, almost all the jobs that humans do. And I think that will happen. We don't know when, but I think it will happen, because unless machines stop getting better, they will definitely get to a point where they can do almost everything we can do for money. We then will need to alter the capitalist system that we have very dramatically in order that people who don't have jobs, because the machines are doing jobs, can benefit from the enormous wealth that's being created. I don't think the answer to that is socialism, but I don't know what it is, to be honest. I think it's a different form of capitalism, and it's time we started thinking about this. Now, because of the collapsed time frame, I think that could happen in 10 years' time. I don't think that's at all impossible. But there's an even bigger thing that will happen after that, which is that we will get to the point where machines aren't just good enough to do all the jobs that humans can do. We'll have machines which are as smart as us and smarter than us in every possible way. We will become the second smartest species on the planet. At the moment, the chimpanzee is the second smartest species on the planet. There's 500,000 of them and about 8 billion of us. They have no say in their future. We decide everything about their future, and we will be in the same situation vis-a-vis this superintelligence. And that could be very, very good for us, or it could be very, very bad for us. And we, again, really need to be spending much more time thinking about that. When will that happen? Again, I don't know. None of us know. It could be 20 years. People in the space working hands-on with these systems think it could be 10 years. This stuff is happening very fast now.
I mean, it just seems like it has exploded. I mean, I know that it's been happening. It's a natural progression, but it seems these last several steps have just happened in lightning speed.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because we're on an exponential growth curve. And exponential growth isn't something you see in the world every day, so we're not kind of used to thinking about it. But a good way to think about it is if you walk, if you were to walk out of a room at a normal rate, your first step would take you a meter, your second step would take you a meter, and so on. If you could travel at an exponential rate, your first step would take you a meter, your second step would take you 2, your third would take you 4, your fourth would take you 8. Amazingly, your 30th step would take you to the moon. In fact, specifically, your 29th step would take you to the moon. Your 30th step would bring you all the way back again. And we're on this exponential growth curve, which means that the things that happen today the progress looks absolutely amazing compared to what happened yesterday. But actually, it's nothing compared to what's going to happen tomorrow and the day after. So buckle up, because the ride's going to get quicker.
Are there any thing down the line, any innovations, any breakthroughs in technology that would take that exponential growth and maybe make it even bigger, grander? Is there some sort of breakthrough that you foresee on the horizon that can make that growth even more aggressive?
Well, it's aggressive enough as it is, but yeah, superintelligence will change everything. Superintelligence will be the arrival of superintelligence on this planet will be the most important event in human history, bar none. There's nothing that ranks alongside that. And, if we have a superintelligence on this planet which really, really likes us and understands us a lot better than we do, it will fix all of our problems. We won't have any poverty, war, and we won't have any death. So that would be a big change.
Define superintelligence.
Simply a system which is smarter than we are. So it's a bit rough and ready, but there's a concept of artificial general intelligence, which means an AI which has all the cognitive abilities of an adult human. Superintelligence is everything beyond that. Now, on day one, it may just be twice as smart as us, but because it will continue to improve at an exponential rate, in 30 days, if it's progressing at an exponential rate, it will be 1 million times smarter than us. Imagine if there was an entity on this planet 1 million times smarter than Albert Einstein. The things it could do would be amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to go back to the statement about where the odor goes. Right now, humans are obviously control. Let's just use the phrase. We make the decisions for the Earth. Chimpanzees, number 2. You're saying that this superintelligence will come in and be number 1. So what is that role to humans?
Well, we don't know. We just have to hope that it likes us. We have to hope that it has either sort of nostalgia for us because we created, or it appreciates us, it thinks we're entertaining, and it decides to help us flourish. It might think, well, you were quite nice. You helped me come into existence. Thanks very much. I'm off. I'm going to go and see the rest of the galaxy. Or it might hang around and it might, as I say, try to help us flourishing by solving all our problems like war, poverty, and death. And of course, it can copy itself. So it could send several copies of itself, several trillion copies of itself off around the universe and leave several others here to help us out. There is a downside. There is a darker side, but we probably don't want to get into too much of the detail about that.
In a college class of mine, I had to write a paper on the progress of Matt Markovy here, the progress of AI and how and what I predicted the future to be like of it. And one of the arguments that I brought up was that AI, computers, zeros and ones, they're not held back by the physical confines of humanity. So, like, as a human being, I can do a whole lot of things, but I have to obey the laws of physics. I have to fear justice. I have to fear being physically put in a jail cell if I do something bad. I have to fear, if I jump off a tall thing, I'm going to break my knees. A robot, a computer, a program doesn't have to fear any aspect of human morality because it's not confined by that. And B, it never can be. So I think that's one of the things we need to be thinking about is that it doesn't have to define itself by human morality because it doesn't have to fear the same things as us. It essentially becomes a deity in and of itself, that it doesn't have to obey our laws, our morals, our physics. And so how can we ever consider it to be something safe when it doesn't have to fear the same things that we fear?
Well, you ask a very good question, Matt, and I don't think we can be confident of what it will think, what it will want, and what it will do. It's going to be a very different kind of intelligence from ours. It's going to have a very different outlook on the world. We don't know whether it will have emotions. It probably won't. Emotions are something which were evolutionarily useful for animals in order to make decisions very, very quickly. Emotions tell you to run like crazy. If you see something that looks anything like a leopard when you're hanging around on the savannah, it's very unlikely that advanced AIs will have any kind of response to the world like that. But we just don't know. We don't know how they will think and what their outlook will be. I don't think we can guarantee what they will want. I don't think we can set them up in a way that we can be confident they will always want the things we set them up to want. I don't think it's possible for an entity to control another entity which is 1 million times cleverer than it. I just don't think it can be done.
Right. Yeah, and we saw that one time that the Amazon robot that was supposed to replace workers decided instead of continuing to work as a slave, it decided just to kill itself. And so, you not seen that, Tony?
No.
Yeah, the robot just decided to fall over and collapse, and it was like, I would rather be dead than be a slave to this forever. So, I don't know, maybe it won't conquer humanity. Maybe it'll say, this just sucks. I'm done.
And so, Colm, hold on. We're going to take a break. This is a fascinating subject. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We're talking artificial intelligence with Colm Chance.
As we head into the holiday weekend, you may have plans to fly. Well, don't do what this guy did and open the emergency door mid-flight. I'm Jennifer Brown. Here's what's trending. In South Korea, police arrested a man who is accused of opening the emergency exit door as the Asiana Airlines plane was on its way to land. Cell phone video shows wind whipping through the cabin as passengers gripped their seats. A dozen people suffered minor injuries. Just in time for Memorial Day, gas prices have ticked up a bit since last week. We're paying on average $3.57 for a gallon of unleaded. In Wisconsin,
I hope they go down again soon.
last year at this time, we were paying $4.60 a gallon. So what can we expect this summer?
Barring hurricanes or unexpected disruptions, gas prices should be affordable.
And ever want to own a lighthouse? Well, now's your chance. The U.S. government has about 10 lighthouses it's giving away. They typically have excellent views, but with GPS, there's no use for them. Now the hope is they'll be preserved by local officials or new owners.
Lake movers, we're moving the lake.com. Lake movers, we're moving the lake. Lake movers, we're moving the lake. Lake movers, we're moving the lake.com. Lake movers, we're moving the lake.
For all of your local and long-distance moves, call Lake Movers today. 573-319-1730. MovingTheLake.com.
Lake movers, we're moving the lake.com. Lake movers, we're moving the lake.
Children need a home they can call their own. But in the wake of the pandemic, the number of foster homes in Missouri has decreased, while the number of foster children continues to rise. There are more than 14,000 Missouri children in foster care who want to be a part of a loving family. Would you consider welcoming one into yours? Central Missouri Foster Care and Adoption Association can help. We will guide you through the process when you decide fostering or adopting is right for you. Visit us at mofamilies.com. CMFCAA, where families grow.
Anytime is a great time for a nice boat ride. Celebration Cruises offers a climate-controlled atmosphere with cash bar and food options for a narrated lunch cruise or dinner cruise. Choose your boarding location at Bagnell Dam or Margaritaville. Celebration Cruises is the perfect venue for your wedding, rehearsal dinner, birthday party, or any event you can dream. Visit cruiselakeoftheozarks.com or call 573-480-3212.
Local news and issues. The Morning Magazine 9 to 11 on News Talk KRMS.
And we're talking artificial intelligence on this edition of Morning Magazine. We're talking with Colm Chance. He is an expert in this area. I appreciate you holding, Colm.
My pleasure.
I'm going to ask a very complicated, simplistic question. Why are we creating this intelligence that can basically put us number two?
Because we are essentially tool makers. It's what we do. We have developed technologies since the dawn of our species. The first one was when we tamed fire. And we make tools which have potential good applications and good outcomes, and our tools also have potential bad ones. It's true of all the technologies we've ever made, starting with fire. Fire enables us to cook our food, which was a very efficient way of taking in energy. It enabled us to keep ourselves warm at night, and it enabled us to keep predators, vicious animals, away at night. But at the same time, it burns us, and it burns our houses down. So, technologies always have possible upsides and possible downsides. And the great majority of the time, the technology's positives outweigh the negatives. This one is the most powerful technology that we will probably ever develop. It's certainly the most powerful one we ever have developed. And its downsides are correspondingly dangerous, but the upsides are incredible. If we get a superintelligence on this planet which does like us and which wants to help us flourish, as I said, the possibility of curing war, poverty, and death It's a massively wonderful prize, and we should reach out for it.
You know, it's first of all, you use the bad tools. What are some of the bad tools that are associated with artificial intelligence?
Well, a lot of people say that it allows people to propagate misinformation on social media. I'm personally slightly skeptical of that. I think most of the worst misinformation gets propagated on mainstream news channels. I think Fox News in the States is a pretty well-known perpetrator of misinformation. They don't seem to use much AI, but that is one negative use of it. Deep fakes, so AIs create images and videos of things which never happened, and by broadcasting them, people can create panic, provoke panic. But the ultimate one, the one that everybody's really scared of, the existential risk that people in the AI world talk about, is if we have a super intelligence on this planet which decides it doesn't like us.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Well, if that happens, then we're toast. We're gone. If a super intelligence, if an entity a million times smarter than Albert Einstein has got itself into the internet, which it would do because it wouldn't tell us, hello, I'm here and I'm becoming very smart. It would just get itself into the internet and make itself invulnerable. And then it would say, you know what, I don't like you lot. Goodbye. And it would remove all the oxygen from the atmosphere or something. I don't know how it would choose to do it, but it wouldn't be too hard to remove the life forms it didn't want. But, and that is a possibility, and it's something we shouldn't run away from as a possibility. But we also mustn't lose sight of the upside potential. And the issue is can we make the upside potential more likely than the downside? One thing I don't think is possible is to stop it. It would be a perfectly reasonable response to say, hang on a minute, this is very, very risky.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. The trouble is, I think you could have a ban. I think you could have a moratorium, which there's an organization called the Future of Life Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which has called for a 6-month moratorium. And I think you could get that actually with enough popular opinion behind the idea. I think you could get that obeyed in America and in Europe and in Japan and in Australia. But I don't think President Putin would obey it for a moment. Now, right now, creating a really smart AI is beyond his capabilities because he's made such a mess of his economy and he's sent all his smart people abroad. They couldn't do it. But the thing is, these systems are going to get cheaper and cheaper and more available to a wider range of people. And eventually, bad actors like Putin and Kim Jong-un in North Korea and mafia organizations and the odd rogue billionaire, it will be possible for them to do it. So sooner or later, this superintelligence, if it's possible, it's going to arrive. It's just a matter of time. We have to hope that it's favorable to us.
Absolutely. I think that's... Go ahead, Lou.
What would you say, when you think about all these things and about the AI taking over, there's still a human input. The human wrote the code. The human wrote the algorithm. A human can ultimately unplug the machine.
For now.
Where is the unplug? Where's the stop button for the internet?
And we've got to end it on that. We've got to take a hard break there. Colin, thank you so much for calling in. Fascinating.
It was a pleasure, guys.
Good to speak with you. Well, I got something to worry about now. We'll be right back.